Hey, welcome to this episode of Direct to Consumer Coffee Shop, DTC Coffee Shop, episode 10. We're going to be diving into a few things today, Q1 in review, plus some eCom, direct to consumer, advertising, wish list stuff. I'm going to get into how I'm actually hacking TikTok for arbitrage to make money from my newly monetized YouTube channel. Thank you to Dara Denny for helping me out with all of that. Who I got to meet in person at Nick Shackelford's Geek Out, and that was fun. You should absolutely be going. Anyway, I hope you all enjoy this stuff. It means a lot to me. I know that you could be anywhere on the internet right now, and you've decided to spend your time here. We'll try to make it the absolute best for you. We got Sammy from Australia and the Lord of Ads from an undisclosed location coming in, who has, very proud of all these guys and where they've come from. So with that being said, we're going to dive right into it. If you do find value in this stuff and you do like it, don't be shy to comment, to ask questions. And hey, why not go ahead and subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any other things, because we are now monetized. We have content literally coming in every single day, sometimes twice on Sunday or twice on Tuesdays, as today happened to be. It might even be 3 times. So with that being said, I'm going to welcome up on my man Sammy from Down Under. Sammy, nice to see you again, my man. Tell the people about yourself, maybe how we met and what's going on with you right now.
So I run my own e-commerce agency, and I help D2C brands kind of scale from next to no spend up to wherever it is they want to go. Mainly Facebook ads and strategy. And then I kind of outsource sort of everything else and work with a whole bunch of freelancers on email and Google Analytics and all that kind of stuff. I've just been following Charlie and listening to all his stuff for about 2 years. Religiously listen to everything that you put up and just follow best practices. I'm pretty happy to. I always say I don't know if I'm stupid or arrogant, but I just sit and follow best practices. I don't try and reinvent the wheel or whatever. If yourself or Facebook are hey, Power of 5 is the way to go, I'm okay, I'll do that. If broad is the way to go, I'm okay, I'm just going to do that. I'm not trying to hack the system or trying to pretend I'm smarter than, the greatest algorithm that's ever been created by man, because I'm not, even though I may look it. So that's me.
I love it. And one of my favorite quotes, and I actually mentioned this once or twice because somebody brought up, because they saw your interview when I was at Geek Out with Nick Shackelford, hanging out with some folks. Shout out to Geek Out. Totally worth the investment. Somebody was was that guy Sammy for real? He was driving an Uber and now he's surfing by 2:30 in the afternoon. That can't be legit. And I was I don't know. Yeah. It seems pretty legit to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's raining at the moment, so I won't be going to the beach. But yeah,
gotcha.
Most of it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I love it, man. Well, it's great to see you. I'm going to bring up our other buddy here, the Lord of Ads, Jhori. My man, welcome back. Congratulations. Once again, the private chat did get some news, which you can mount here if you feel like it. You don't have to, but congratulations, my man. Please introduce yourself. I know Sammy hasn't met you yet, and maybe the other folks have, but it's great to have you here.
Well, I appreciate it, first of all. Glad to be back. That specific message, I think, will remain in the direct-to-consumer chat. But I did like the introduction of the undisclosed location. It makes my brand seem mysterious and intriguing, which I do love. Although I'll share that I'm actually from Florida, or not from Canada, for any of you Canadians out there listening. But I'm currently in Florida. Yes. Well, I left when I was about 9.5. So I didn't get the full French class, although I would have loved to do that. I can surf in the afternoon at 2:30, Sam. So I do have that privilege living by the coast, and also the privilege of low taxes as well, which is my favorite benefit of living in Florida. But I've been running paid social ads for 5-6 years, specifically direct-to-consumer e-commerce. Dabbled with a couple of other verticals, info products, courses, fintech, stuff like that. But D2C eCom is my stuff. And specifically, the variable that I enjoy the most, what gets me up in the morning, is the creative aspect. Because before, long ago, before Lord of Ads even existed, I was a graphic designer and a video editor, building content for my tutorial YouTube channel, which I don't post on anymore, which is pretty sad. But creative stuff, love it. And it's a huge component of what makes paid social tick in 2022. So.
Well, I love it, man. I think, well, congratulations and thank you for being here. I think I'm the only person who doesn't surf. What's the old saying? Charlie don't surf. And it happens to be true. Although I can snowboard. I have tried to surf a couple of times. Once in Hawaii, and I got up once or twice in Waikiki, and it took me 4 days to be able to lie on my back afterwards because I totally forgot to put sunblock back there. Because I'm an idiot.
Well, I'll say this, and this isn't a shot. This is actually a compliment. You fit the demographic pretty nicely in terms of the aesthetics.
I'll take it. I'm working on it.
I'm definitely more of a lie on the beach than a surfer, to be honest. I think that's kind of got a bit mixed up there. Any of my friends who are going to watch this will be like, you would never, ever get on a surfboard in your life. I don't know where that came from. I think someone might have misheard what I said. But kind of scared of surfing. I'm good lying on the sand, though. That's all right for me.
Nice. Yeah, maybe you said you were going to the surf. I don't know. Like I said, I was at Nick Shackelford's Geek Out, and somebody brought that up and was like, I don't know, man. You have to ask the guy, but that's pretty good. So that being said, one of the things I really wanted to dive into here was, we just finished the Q1 of 2022, which is supposed to be the first year or so after. We're about a year into the apocalypse, where basically Facebook ads can't possibly work anymore and every digital marketer is completely doomed because of Apple. And knowing that all of those prophecies were 100% true. And yeah, I'm being completely sarcastic in that way. I'm really interested to know sort of how things are working for you all, because I've actually been seeing some really good success in the last 3 months, but I know that it has been difficult for people. Especially with respect to, the stock market going down and buying consumer intent and all of these other things. As somebody that sits across multiple brands, maybe I'll go to you, Sammy, to start off with. How are you seeing Q1 from 2022 play out, and how's it been working for you?
January and February was a dream. It was I was just I had all my clients had really great content, broad audiences, Power of 5, everything was going really, really well. Couldn't have been happier. Went into the first week of March, kind of the same story. And then in Australia, we got a lot of our freedoms back and all the restrictions got lifted, travel restrictions got lifted and all that kind of stuff. So people over the sort of last 2 or 3 weeks of March stopped buying less stuff that they don't need, and everyone just started booking trips. So kind of saw a bit of a hit over the last couple of weeks. Everyone I know is flying somewhere or going somewhere or is booked to do something just because we now have these post-COVID freedoms. So that's kind of hit a little bit hard. Things starting to turn around in April. I think there's just that romantic period where you're I can travel. I'm just going to book a million things and go and do all this stuff. And it kind of does seem to be slowing down now, going into Q2 and stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of where it's at the moment. It's a bit of an interesting turn where it's freedom's announced next day,
Ads just die because everybody's paying money for travel.
Everyone's doing other things, but I mean, good for travel industry, I guess.
Sure.
A lot of restaurants. All you with
your dynamic ads for travel. I don't think that exists anymore. I remember that was a big thing back in the day.
Yeah.
What about you, Lord of Ads? How's it been going for you this wonderful Q1? Or maybe it wasn't wonderful for you. Let's find out.
Let's find out indeed. I actually wasn't running ads in January. It took maybe a month and a week hiatus, which was actually really well needed. I think that's something that you're always on in a certain degree. When you're running ads, even if you take a week or two off, you're still thinking in the back of your mind, what's the performance? It was a really nice period of time where I could really just take a step back after all the shenanigans of 2021 and just take a nice, well-deserved and well-needed break. February, I got back into the swing of things. I actually did not see very good performance in February overall. And it was a really interesting shift that I noticed as well. And this could just be, you know, anecdotal based on the accounts that I've been working on over that period of time. But as soon as we got into maybe the second week of March, I noticed a bit of an uptick in general performance across the board. February, I mean, it was at like what, 0.8, 0.9. March gets to like 1.1, 1.2, like that kind of disparity. That could have been to individual creative testing. That could have been to offer landing page testing, anecdotal. But it was a general trend that I did notice across the broader span of accounts that I've been working on. So March has definitely been a better month. I
love it. Yeah, I'll tell you, I had a lot of success over January and February and March. And I mentioned it, like, you know, CBD biz went from a couple hundred to a couple grand. My, you know, clothing business went from a few grand to 5 figures and more. But I want to also preface that with a lot of the success I had in the beginning of Q1 was in kind of fixing up some desperation and some damage that had occurred at the end of Q4. I think at the end of Q4, people are throwing money at anything they possibly can for the holiday, for Black Friday.
Yeah.
And what ends up happening is just you destroy the machine learning and you end up like having all of these things. And look, we can talk about best practices and what you're supposed to do, but it's like, you know, we're just like scrambling for every dollar that we possibly can get. And I think one of the reasons that I saw week over week gains, I mean, one I'd like to attribute it to just me being good, but more realistically, probably to do with just cleaning up the shit that didn't work. And I can't tell you how many times I talk to folks and their biggest issue is they're just messy, right? They're like supporting too many things. They're trying to do too many objectives. They're asking their dollar to go too far.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting. In one use case, there was a brand where they were like November, December, promoting like 5-6 items, right? Across like 6 to 8 campaigns. And then I come in, and the easiest win that we had there was we just got down to the single best offer. And I just released this Twitter thread on it, and I'll make some more around it, but this concept around PSM, around like profitable scaling margin. I found the product with the CPA and CPA and COGS to LTV that gave me the best opportunity to scale.
Yeah.
And what I did is I basically just cut everything else out. And as a result, every penny went into investing into this margin. And because I wasn't asking the machine to do like 20 different things, it did the one thing extraordinarily well. That being said, I don't, you know, some people are seeing this and like, oh man, it was terrible. I do want to definitely call out, and I made a video about this, and there was definitely some conversations where I have noticed over the last 10 years that when the stock market does well, anybody can start a business and make money. And when the stock market does poorly, everybody that's not selling toilet paper and food suffers. And, you know, so with that being said, I think a lot of brands saw this hit towards middle of February that didn't come back until the beginning of March with World War III and whatever else that was going on, that really, you know, there was fear in the markets and interest rates rising and everything else, that I think people forget that there's real individuals on the other sides of those dollars. You know, it's like I saw something, a buddy of mine's like, my landlord is living my paycheck to paycheck because if I don't pay my rent, then they get audited by their bank for not making the bills. And I was just like, that stood out to me because your business might rely on your customers buying from you, which makes sense. But if they don't have the money, you're out of business. Like, you're still, business model is so important. And I just want to say that, like, I feel those types of things happen. So all of that being said, like, I'm interested to know, as some lessons going into Q2, like, what are some things that you all are doing to try to pivot based on what you've learned in Q1 and knowing what everybody's doing now with, you know, maybe you've adopted Triple Whale or any of these other lovely things. How are you pivoting for this setup? Because let's be honest, I'm very certain in 60 days, everybody's going to whine about their ads not working because we hit the summer. and the summer
Yeah.
is always bad every year. So I'm curious what you guys are doing over the next 45, 60 days to set up for the real apocalypse that'll come with basically the decline in user intent comes summer. Well, I guess for us here it's summer. For you, Sammy, it's the cold season. So fair enough.
Yeah, coming into winter now. I get my big thing at the moment, and this is something that I've been working with all my clients on. And like when you say it, like no one ever understands. And I actually obviously stole this from you, Charlie, but no one ever understands it. But I'm going back and looking at every single ad that we've ever had that hasn't performed, and then working on how we can improve those things. I think like if you have I'm on Broad, I'm on Power 5 with pretty much all my ads. So we have a structure, which is the best practices, and we know that it's working. So we're kind of in this thing where we're like, okay, let's go over every single ad that we have individually and work out why that didn't work and identify for whatever reason why it didn't, and basically make less bad shit. And then we can kind of just focus on making less of the bad stuff, more of the good stuff. And over time, that slow piece of video or that hook or that whatever it is that didn't work in that time, like we just don't put them in. So that's my big focus at the moment, is just so like content focused. That's really what I'm doing to kind of combat all the stuff that's going on, is just constantly putting out, the best variations of content that we can.
Fair play. I'll put out a quick note. I haven't, Charlie, you're going to love this. I haven't tested an interest since I started running ads again back in February. And I have never seen more, happiness inside of me waking up every morning, not having to play around with the interests in the ad sets. Broad, I mean, it's true though. Broad is the best performer. Yeah. And we'll get to this in like the biggest lessons of iOS section, which you had laid down. But like to give the general lay of the land here, like before iOS, it was a controversial thing whether or not Broad was the best solution long-term at scale. Now it's not so controversial. There's been a market paradigm shift, I believe, at least in the high-end advertiser community, maybe not in like the beginner space where they're taking up the information that's published on YouTube from gurus that want to make money. But the people who actually know what they're doing, there's been a big shift, in my opinion. Two other things that I've noticed specifically in Q1, Q4 leading up to Q1 as well, lessons that'll take into Q2 and the rest of the year. One, there's a big battle right now for market share in data attribution. In-platform is very unreliable. And, you can't rely on it to make informed decisions as an advertiser these days. Hopefully that'll change in the next couple of years when Meta gets their shit together and builds an API with the top e-commerce platforms. But for right now, we have to deal with this competitive war between platforms like Triple Whale, Northbeam, Mixpanel, you name the rest of them. And I've been experimenting personally with all of those. There's not a clear winner. Basically, what I would look for if you're out there and not sure what to try is making sure you're able to get first touch and last touch data, as well as being able to view in semi-real time the difference in conversions from backend API by ad set and ad level, rather than just taking a look at the account as a whole. So those are the important notes with the data stuff. But that market itself will evolve over the next couple months and probably the next year or two. Secondly is the creative side of things. There have been a lot of, pop-up businesses sprouted from agencies that pitch the whole editing at a whim service, as in you give them a piece of content or you give them a brief and they have maybe an overseas team that sends you content back, UGC mashup, stuff like that. What I've noticed is it's not as high quality as paying the premium that still existed before this even made a shift to the market. But at the same time, when you get down to the granular level of trying to get incremental lift at scale, split testing micro variables is the number one way to do that once you already have winning angles and winning creative in the accounts already. And that's where I see a ton of value being shifted from the big creative agencies to maybe like the small constant creative. I'll give them a shout out. Editing teams that'll give you constant creative back for a monthly retainer or something like that. So those are the learnings that I've taken. We'll see how those progress over the rest of the year.
Yeah, I love it, and that business is so aptly named, isn't it? I got to agree. I think a lot of this, and maybe this can really parlay directly into the next section, which is lessons from iOS 14. I think one of the things that I've really leaned into coming out of Q1, going into Q2, and really over the last year is. I think that for me personally, one of the biggest struggles was in educating the people that pay me to spend money to make them successful and to understand how things work. And part of that is educating them in how stuff works. Part of that is also in being able to truly point to specific metrics that matter and really understanding my role as well as the dependency. So, in an effort to kind of back up to what you're saying, I think one of the biggest lessons from Q1 going into Q2, and really, I'll throw this back to you guys, lessons from iOS 14, is just how important that communication is with business owners and other dependencies, the transparency between like the creative team and customer service, and the communication between like the cadence of communication. And honestly, the biggest lesson that I will say I got from iOS 14 and what I'm taking from Q1 that worked into Q2 is education of the people that I work with so that they don't need me to make choices. And that is like one of the biggest things, because I can't tell you like how many times I've gotten on a call and it's like, well, how much did we spend? What was our volume? What was the return? Oh, by the way, I know 14 other people took credit for half of these sales and please pay me. Great. Like nobody cares anymore. And I think one of the biggest lessons that I've gotten here is having everybody on the same page with a level of understanding and what the marching order is on what is the most important thing for the business has been, it's only been validated. I mean, it's one of those things I believed, but now I've seen it. All these other people have struggled. And then the people I see doing really, really well generally have a North Star, and every effort in the business is meant to make sure everybody understands their piece of accomplishing that one singular task. And I don't know, for me personally, that's what I learned, really run home with Q1. And a big lesson from iOS 14, it has been that universality of the communication and honestly, the accountability on dependencies. I can't tell you just how important that stuff is. You can't just be somebody banging away at a keyboard waiting on things from other folks anymore. You have to be, I think a media buyer will ultimately could be the function of a CMO. And the brands that aren't hip to using that are going to miss out. So I don't know. To skip to the idea of lessons from iOS 14, maybe that's a nice little shift. But what other stuff have you guys learned since iOS 14 launch? Maybe Sammy, we can go with you because
I'm probably gonna get like crucified for this, but my experience personally, and for some other people I know that are in this kind of industry, and I don't know if it's because this happened as I was kind of, finding success with my kind of agency and stuff like that. But my opinion, like I think iOS 14 has been the best thing that's ever happened to Facebook ads. I really do, because so many reasons. Like the first reason is pre-iOS 14, you could like get away with audience hacks, a static image and some good copy and get some average results. And you were happy with that because that's all you thought that Facebook ads could give you. But then iOS 14 came in and was basically like, we can't just show those images to all these people as easy as we could. So the shift really changed into, okay, you have to make these really, really fun, amazing, engaging UGC ads, and you have to invest in your business. And like we kind of go into the ads, like doing the targeting. We have this incredible like UGC experience. We then also look at our business like holistically, because we're not just going, okay, what was the ROAS on Facebook? What happened in Klaviyo? What happened in Shopify? Like everyone now, like everyone is looking at their business holistically and knowing that, okay, like the Facebook ads drive the email signups. And, you know, just because something happened on Shopify that wasn't within the 7-day window of someone who, you know, was opted into tracking, just because that didn't happen in Facebook ads doesn't mean it didn't happen in Shopify. And we're looking, you know, it's forced everyone to look at businesses more holistically. That's my experience with it. And like, yeah, okay, like it sucks that the data isn't super accurate anymore. And, you know, you can't get all of these fancy like vanity reports that you could, you know, a couple of years ago. But if it's come at the cost of taking businesses from average results to scaling businesses, you know, there's a reason why the e-commerce industry has boomed, and it's not because Facebook ads don't work. Like, you know, that's my opinion. That's my experience.
I love it. What about you?
So for me, visualization is a really important component. And it was something that I was doing pre-iOS in, like, let's say reporting. Let's say even during calls, I'll try and build like a story arc from beginning to end to help present what's going on, and then obviously the solution to said problem. That's what's really separating the good advertisers from the great advertisers. Piggybacking off you, Charlie, with communication, if you're able to give a visual example of something that's directly going on with someone's business, rather than just speaking words, you know, nonsense fluff words on a call, that's going to help the education process move so much smoother, and thereby give the business owner, the client, whoever you're working with, more trust within you to execute on those ideas that you bring to the table. That's more of like a holistic lesson that I've learned over the past year. I don't know how specific that is to iOS 14.5. It might have accelerated it even. And then just going back to my first point, the broad stuff, like pre-iOS, it was always a split test for me. I was always setting up interests. I was using lookalikes when I had the ability to do so. And then I had broad kind of like as like that ugly stepchild that we wanted to test just because, you know, it's like one of those things, right? Kind of taboo. Now, the ugly stepchild has reared its pretty face and it's number one. And interests and lookalikes are, you know, I mean, in my specific situation, I'm not even using them anymore. But for some other people, they're still testing, you know, and broad for the most part, generalized as outperforming. The interesting part, and it would be really, I would be interested to know the kind of demographic that listens to these calls, specifically if it's exclusively high ticket ecom business owners, or maybe we have a couple of beginners that are funneling into this kind of content for you, Charlie. But I would say one of the big drawbacks of iOS 14.5 back in 2021 was that it's more difficult now than ever to start. Before, trying to set up a Facebook ad account, trying to set up your business manager, get the integrations properly synced, making sure data is flowing smoothly, like the learning curve was here. Now it's all the way up here. And that's what's really separating, again, like that average business owner from the elite business owner is either understanding the system or hiring someone like me, like Charlie, or like Sam here to do it for you and to help explain the process via visualization and education. So I feel for those beginners that like the thought of starting an e-commerce brand, but are just so taken back by the amount of effort and mental bandwidth needed to understand what's going on. I mean, it's tough out there now. And I mean, the money you got to put behind getting good creative, the time, like that's years of experience along with that. It's tough, man. And I feel for them.
When I first started running Facebook ads for people, I would literally just run, like I remember I was working with like a t-shirt brand, and it was just plain female t-shirts. And we would just run catalog ads and get in Facebook, get like a 6 ROAS in like 2018. And we were just like, no money on content. Like you just, you know, ran straight from the catalog. Like it was the dream, you know, and that's great. Like, you know, good example and everything like that. But Yeah, it's so interesting, like what it's kind of gone into now, and it does take so much more. And that particular brand, like I don't work with them anymore. Post all of these changes, they were like, we just don't want to make the investment in, $10,000 worth of content and spending a minimum of, $5,000-10,000 a month in Facebook ads to actually make it work. Like my first client, like we're spending 15 Australian dollars a day on ads and getting great results. Like you just can't do that anymore. Like it's just not out there,
Yeah, I will agree with both of those. And what I would say to kind of back up what you guys are talking about is there's like this moat around businesses, and I'll define it in two ways. One, established businesses that are set up to really take advantage of the space, I think are going to grow really well. I think because the one thing established businesses have over the $15 Australian a day spend is a really robust back end and business model that doesn't require Facebook to work. Like there's an old adage, and for a while Facebook broke it, and for a while before that Google broke it, and for a while before that email broke it, but maybe TikTok is breaking it now. Which we'll get to some more TikTok stuff in a bit. But the idea, there's a lesson that if the only thing your business is missing is marketing for you to be successful, when your business fails, it has nothing to do with the marketer. Like you need to have a really good business that you can pour fuel onto that fire.
Yeah.
And I get questions all the time from people that are like, well, what's a good way to start spending $50 a day? And I tell them, figure out something in your Facebook account that doesn't require you to run conversion campaigns. Like I've scaled 7-8-figure businesses running Facebook lives with a comment to opt in on a chat bot because the business was really strong in influencer and CRM. Like you don't need to run a conversion campaign on Facebook to make money. But I feel like, and again, in 2016, 17, 18, 19, the economy was booming around the world. Everybody had too much cash. Everybody's willing to drop $50, $100 on something stupid because why not? And now that that's not necessarily the case, and data is a bit harder to come by, the shortcuts of just throwing up a shit ad and dumping stupid money into it and going to the ATM just doesn't work anymore. And so I find like I'm involved in a startup now. It's about a year old where we did 7 figures last year. We'll probably do 8. The reason that business is working is because the business model is phenomenal, right? And there's a specific design to that business too, where, and this is something I've been talking more and more about. That business was built specifically to sell. There's like a 3 to 4 year out as the roadmap for that business. And I think a lot of marketers still try to say, how can I prove my value as a marketer? Where a lot of what I'm trying to get to with folks now, because they're still talking, Sam, what you're talking about that holistic view, the MER, for instance, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever else. And I've been pretty public about my complete lack of any interest in that metric at all. And it's because, have you ever watched Shark Tank?
Yeah.
Nobody's ever gone on Shark Tank or Dragon's Den and had some wealthy investor be like, now what's your ROAS? Nobody cares.
Yeah.
They always ask 3 questions. How much does it cost to make your product? How much does it cost to acquire a customer? How much is this customer worth? And then the 4th one sometimes is, what's the market size? How much more can we grow? Well, let's see your figures. Great. Well, you've been growing year over year. Great. All we need now is to reduce your CPA and you're golden. Well, yeah, that makes total sense.
A rule that Casper didn't follow. Hot take.
Yeah, and look where they're at now. Fun fact: one of their competitors, the CMO of that, one of their competitors is one of the investors in this other business. So I won't get too out of touch because I do have some deals and I need to protect that. But yeah, 100%. And I think that there's absolutely this concept And the honest truth is, I think there's a lot of marketers at the head of really good businesses that haven't adopted it. A couple of them come to mind. They're very popular. I won't call them out because I'm trying to be nicer. A couple of them are in the chat for this show, so I won't, whatever. The point is, you don't need to be good at Facebook ads to build a business. But if you have a really good business, that Cody Plofker said it great. A good business will scale a Facebook account. And I think that means a lot. And I think that's one of the big pieces. And then the other side of building this moat is the delay. One of the things that came with iOS 14 and why I agree is one of the best things that happened was because it prevented agencies and marketers from being able to lie to themselves and their clients.
Yeah.
I remember 2 years ago getting into huge Twitter beefs with people who have since blocked me, and they have no idea how much I'm trying so hard to be a nice guy now, where they were just so insistent that delayed attribution was great. And you had to spend into Black Friday, and they shared all of these case studies. And really what they were doing was saying, if you spend a bunch of money on Facebook, you get a whole bunch of revenue that comes in from other channels afterwards. Yeah, an intent creation device generates incremental lift. Yeah. But I don't see any of those folks talking about delayed attribution now. Now they're all MER. Now they're all whatever else the next measurement du jour is. But anyway, insofar as the lessons from all of this stuff, I agree with you. And for what it's worth, because I have a couple friends who are investment bankers, one of the things for new businesses that has been shouted from the rooftops at me at trade shows, conventions with my buddies who are investment bankers, if you're starting a new business, you need one of two things. One, you need to be, or if you're going to be successful for the next few years, one, you can start a new business or have a product that is highly disruptive so that you can dominate growth and exit, or have an existing business where that moat gets bigger and bigger as all of your competition in the space that's not as sophisticated as you melts away. There is not an opportunity to be the next, no offense, the next Australian plain t-shirt brand spending $15 a day and just going to the ATM machine. I don't see it happening.
But I think that's, again, going into why it's a good thing, because it's weeded out every Tom, Dick, and Harry just starting an e-commerce brand and, being able to start with just some static images and kind of moving up from there. You really have to make the big investment, and you have to have a great, for most people, you have to have a great product to be able to find people to invest in that product, and it all kind of works together. It's not I can't tell you how many, it's all the time, skincare brands, every single Tom, Dick, and Harry has a skincare brand at the moment, and they're all Australian made, they're all natural, they're all vegan, and it's you're not doing anything different, right? This is exactly the same as the last 3 skincare brands I've spoke to this week, right? And they're coming and saying, we have this, but they don't have any money for ads and stuff like that, or they don't have any money for content, and it's
Alex Hormozy,
you can't play in the field perfectly. Then
he says, I will not invest in a company that doesn't have hot, sticky, expensive air. And they're all they allude to different things. Hot referring to desire for the market. Sticky referring to that market isn't going to fall out of fashion because of some natural event or timeline. Expensive, perceived value. And then air, low cost of goods, high margin. So if you can really nail those 4 things in whatever offer that you're trying to present on whatever traffic channel you're running from, that's going to be the best way to do it.
Yeah. And one of the things, Sammy, you brought up, and I want to just kind of hit home on it. The money you use to spend on creative and ads should be a fraction of, it can be a large or a small fraction. I don't mean fraction as in a little piece. It could be 90%, but it needs to be a percentage of your operating margin from profit. Yeah. It cannot be the thing. You can't rely on paid media to jumpstart your brand on Facebook, at least. And maybe TikTok's a great option for that, but you just can't do it. That just doesn't exist anymore.
For me.
Yeah. And I can't tell you, like, I teach a lot, and how many folks come to me and I just tell them, look, I don't think this is the right fit for you because
Yeah.
your objective is just wrong. I feel like not wrong, just like you're not set up to be successful, right? Your objective isn't aligned with the goals that you want. And I think that ultimately that means that your opportunity for success is very low, and paying somebody like me isn't going to fix that. That being said, yeah, go for it.
I'm with you. There's a big problem of for a lot of the brands that do get through and do spend some money on content and stuff like that, and they this has happened to me quite a few times where a lot of people don't understand that like ads is just an amplification of your brand. Quote Charlie. Like ads is just an amplification of your brand. And I have so many people that have come to me and like I'm running ads and they're like, oh no, we're all over our social media and we're doing all this. Don't worry about it. And it turns out like they're actually not at all doing anything. They're just, they're not, building an organic presence like organically. They're not, engaging and building with people on email and stuff like that, but they're still expecting these kind of miraculous like results just from ads. And it's like you can't just run one without doing everything else. And now I'm like very lucky to be in a position where I'm like, if like I'm happy to help with strategy as much as I can, but if you're not really like nailing all of these pointers of like a great website, a great organic presence, working with influencers, constant on
the other
organic
variables,
social
right?
media. Yeah. Other variables.
What happens like after the click?
I can't kind of help you. Yeah, exactly. And I'm having this like work with a brand where I'm like, okay, if we're gonna work together, like you have to be the face of it, because we don't engage like with products anymore. We engage with people. And I'm like, it's great that you've got this product and you've got it to this point, but like you have to be the face of it. You have to be on your organic Instagram all the time and providing just as much value as possible for people. And I'll just amplify that in our ads, right? That's all my job is to just reiterate what you're doing for your brand outside of this. And so many people just don't understand, and they're like, oh, we'll just run ads, it'll be fine, like we'll just do Facebook. And it's like, nah, not anymore. Like,
another note for the creative side of things that you mentioned, Charlie, I would say maybe controversial take, maybe not. I would say most brand owners have absolutely no idea what they're doing when they're trying to delegate creative assets and resources. Because if you think about it, in order to truly understand what kind of creative is going to work for your specific offer, not only do you have to understand your business model, but you also have to understand the algorithm that you're trying to plug that asset into. Yeah. And most people don't have those two things together. The only way that you're going to get that is prior experience running ads and then starting a brand, or starting a brand and then working with someone that has the experience that you can bring together and work as kind of like a conglomerate. Those are the only two options.
Yeah. I'm saying this to like clients.
There's brands that go to Fiverr, right? They're like, oh, I can get content. I can get UGC for $50. And then they wonder why it doesn't work. Do you think that Fiverr editor, that Fiverr creator knows your brand? Do you think that Fiverr creator has millions of dollars in ad spend behind their assets with data to prove why they're doing it a certain way? They don't.
No, my big thing for that at the moment, like whenever I get like a client through and we get kind of content made and stuff, and I'm like, our only goal right now is to be better on the next round of content. That's it, right? Whatever we put up, like I'm partnered with a Creative Converters, shout out to those guys, massive creative agency in Australia, and like we buy content, for X amount of money for a client, run it for 2 months, work out why the bad stuff didn't work, why the good stuff did work, get the second round. And it's like, okay, let's just say our first month, doesn't go that well, and our second month is a little bit better, and our third month is a little bit better, and then we refresh the creative based off the data that we've seen in the previous couple of months, and then we have a lift, and then we just keep going like that. And that's how you ultimately build a business, because when you're getting your first round of creative, and even if it's with a new business or whatever, you're really just guessing what people are going to react to and what people will like, right? Because you don't have enough data, you don't have enough research, you don't have enough insights on what's actually worked. So it's like you just have to put it out there and then just keep getting better and better over time. And it's like your first few months might not be that great, but you know what, if the second 3 months are a little bit better and then you refresh after 6 months and then you keep going like that, you know, in a few years' time, you're going to have a big boom in business. And it doesn't mean the first 3 months were a failure. It means you just had to spend the money to get the lessons, you know? And it's kind of like, it's just like the good and the bad thing about e-commerce is like, you can get, you know, as much data as you want, but you have to pay for it, right? Like,
yeah, nobody wants to spend 20 grand to get ads to work for them.
Yeah.
They're like, I invested $500.
This,
where's my returns? You know?
Yeah, but we're sold this dream. Like so many agencies in Australia, like I fucking hate this. Like so many agencies, like promise, you know, oh, we got this client X times return, or you know, for the agencies that are still using ROAS and stuff like that. And it's like now people are going, oh, why am I not getting, you know, that return, or you know, why is this not working out for me? Like they're saying they can do it for that, and ultimately, like I find people are kind of, I guess, like flushing through like agencies like no one's business because they're just chasing this magic, you know, this magic return or this magic overnight number that maybe for that particular brand doesn't exist, you know, but they're sold this idea where because someone got a sometimes return for some brand, it's out there for you too. And like they don't take into account that actually maybe, okay, you lose a little bit of money on the first purchase, but 75% of people come back and purchase twice, and you know 54% of people purchase 3 times or whatever. And it's like that's where you make the money. But you're not you're not getting to that point because you're chasing your tail, changing creative agency or ad agency every 3 months because you want to get like a 6 ROAS. Like it's such bullshit. Like
I can't. Yeah, I agree with you. And one of the things I want to say on this, and then maybe we can move to a bit of something else, because I mean, I think we're all just in massive agreement. I will say this. I have had such a good ROAS that the business almost had to fold up and go. I was working with somebody that demanded a 3 to 5 ROAS every day. And the best we could do is about $400 making that happen. When I moved them to this CPA and COGS and LTV, this thing I call PSM, that profitable scaling margin, we got $22 net per customer on the transactions. And then that LTV lifted as they continued. And instead of getting a 3 to 5x on $400 for one sale per customer today, we were able to get $22 per transaction at $3,000 to $4,000 a day, and the LTV doubled over 3 months. That business had to go out and find the next round of funding 6 months early. Like,
is this the alcohol delivery one?
Yeah, it is the alcohol delivery one.
You can't mention.
I can't mention, although I hit unsubscribe on the text messages, and I totally got a text message from today like, hey, new phone, who this? I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Whatever. That's fine. I will pivot for one quick second because there's 2 other things I wanted to get to here. One is like a wish list. I thought this would be really interesting. Like if you could get one thing over the rest of this year for your e-commerce space or for direct to consumer or for the ads platform, whatever it is, I'm super curious what that might be. Now, I put a little bit of thought into this, so maybe I'll cue it up so that the 2 of you guys can think about something real quick.
Cheers. I
have a list. I have a list.
Oh, you know what? I will let you go for it. You got a list. I love it.
I have a list.
Give us a list.
This is stuff that all of us deal with day to day that would it would make our lives so much easier. So I'll start from the top with my best idea that I still think is like genius, but nobody seems to really care, I guess. I think that once you're spending a certain amount of money, and this is, you know, it could be whatever, it could be $25K a day, $50K a day, $100K a month, doesn't matter. Facebook or Meta should create a system that is an invite-only system that allows you to pay Meta a retainer. Let's say it's $5,000 a month. And with that retainer, you get priority support and the most important part, manual creative reviews for every upload. That would solve so many problems that big businesses face. And as a subsidiary, it would make Meta more money because those ads that are sitting in disapproval for a week or a week and a half after they have to get their customer service rep to go to the policy team to get the ad reviewed and the whole process and shenanigans unfolds there. Instead of that, the ad gets approved, it starts spending immediately. Meta makes their money, probably 2 or 3-fold what the retainer is to the business. And the business makes money because, well, the ads that would have been deemed a gray area or a controversial area, we all know those are the ones that majority of the time make the most money because they're controversial and they thread the line of policy for better or for worse. They're the ones that make money. The business makes money. Meta makes money. That's my probably one of my best ideas that I think I've come up with is a retainer based or invite only. There's a ton of different ways you could structure it, but it should be a thing. Yeah, that's the take there. Secondly, better in-platform breakdowns for geo and demo. Like if you use the breakdown feature in Facebook, I'd like to see CPA by country if I'm using a broad ad set targeting worldwide. I don't know. I feel like that data should be there. If backend APIs can pull it, there's no excuse why Ads Manager can't show that. Yeah. Easier business manager verification. This is for all you guys out there that are just starting. If you have, let's say you're an agency right now just starting and you're doing all the right things. If you have one client that's attached to your business manager that has an ad disapproval within like a 3 or 4 week span, you cannot get your business manager verified. And therefore you cannot have proper events manager and pixel access. You can't set up 2-factor authentication, a whole host of other things that you can't. I think there's some limit on ad accounts. Like they've made the business manager verification process way too tedious and too strict on policy specifically. There's that. Lastly, auto-populate UTMs. Why can't we set a UTM specific by ad account or specific by campaign even, so that every time you duplicate a creative, you don't have to go in there and double check that Facebook hasn't removed it, or you don't have to go ahead and populate it.
Like a default apply all to the dynamic string that you could then modify if you wanted to.
100%. Those are my takes. What do you guys think is the best one, just out of curiosity?
I mean, for me personally, I like the first side because I feel like that would subsidize Facebook's adoption of more staff members to do it. I will put your last one at the very end because I don't give a fuck about UTMs. But that's just my side. I understand that some people think it's important. That's fine. That's not the way I think. That's my best and worst. It's actually your first one is the one I like the most, and the last one is the one I like the least, oddly enough. But I dig it. I dig it because I will tell you, when you spend a shit ton of money, Facebook will come to you and give you that. But it is almost arbitrary. Like there's no when you
there's no other service on the planet where you can spend $100,000 and not get support within 24 hours. Like what is that? Like that's infallible in any other market.
I think that's the big one for me as well. A couple of my clients, I have reps for a couple of my big spending clients, and for the one that's just come into my head, she's super available for everything. Like we're on Zooms every other week and stuff like that. And she's fantastic. Her name's Ellie. She's probably going to watch this. Hey, Ellie.
Hey, imagine buying a brand new Ferrari and then not getting any customer support for a week.
Yeah.
Like the dealer's MIA. They won't respond to you. Oh, your tire's broken? We can't fix it. It'll take a week and a half.
It's very interesting. From the support thing, it's very interesting how bad you get treated when you're pre-partner account versus how good you get treated when you get a partner account. I remember the day that mine kind of switched over, and 2 days later I put in a support request, and I was treated like royalty. And before, they're just the support was just such dicks to me, in Messenger. And now when they kind of see you as valuable and you're spending $1 million a month or whatever, they're like, oh, hello, we're happy to kind of help you. And what's interesting for me is how, by giving a terrible level of support to low spenders, how do you think they're ever going to get to be high spenders if you're not helping them? In theory, it should be the other way around, right? You need amazing support when you're starting out because you're trying to scale and you try to understand the best way to do it. But it's, you're kind of just getting crushed.
Can I give you guys the extreme hyperbolic version of this? When the Facebook disruptor group started, and we were spending, I was at a brand, we were spending 30 to 50K a day. On big days, we would go over that. Health and nutrition space, like the day after Christmas, I could drop $250,000 and like 4x it. It was stupid. We had a pair of reps that came as a team to the office around 2 o'clock in the afternoon and would leave at the end of the day, 1 day a week. Like that was the level of support that we got, to where we had internal communication devices for Facebook Workplace to put things on the like that demand. So for what it's worth, there used to be that like, oh, please put this on the list of things for people to do, and it's like senior, like you literally had access to that like checklist, which was, it was nice. It was very nice. You had access to. They'd be like, here's the 40 case studies we're going to be running this week, which is basically, here's the $10 million we want to give away. Does anybody feel like taking it? And it was just like, yes. And it was dumb. What about you, Sammy? What that's a really good one. I gotta say.
I was kind of hoping you could say yours first, Charlie.
All right, I'll say mine, and then you can bring us home. My assistant is here, so I'll give mine. You can go, and then I'll end this with my TikTok hack, and we'll call that a nice little hour. How about that? So mine, what I would love, my wish list is a single reporting dashboard that accounted for all the paid media sources that we have, but also brought in affiliate networks and had a confidence with incremental lift measurement tool built in that could ultimately be automated to make specific budget adjustments by channel. So I could program it for weekly, monthly, quarterly business objectives. Like I'm manually right now forcing up LTV and down CPA. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Hi, Jake. But yeah, that for me would be the greatest thing. And I've talked to some of the biggest heads of people that are doing this stuff. And that's not on the roadmap, because the honest truth is the folks spending a bunch of money, these businesses are trying to give them what they want. And what I want is what I need. And what I need is not what people want, because most people legitimately don't understand how to do this work. So that is mine. I want an incremental lift device with automation where I can bring in affiliate networks and influencer, because you give me that, I can give you a couple $2 billion a year in those fringe industries that don't have any support. So that would be mine. I hope that gave you enough time, Sam.
There's probably like one tool for like each aspect of that.
Oh yeah, no, that's the thing. Yeah. I've got four tools and none of them talk to each other, so it's a complete mess. Like,
yeah,
I'm spending more time just trying to translate.
You know, we're gonna like, this is my hypothesis. In 3 to 5 years, we're gonna have a lot easier solution with data and attribution. But we're in that grace period.
I'm trying to build it. I'll be completely
Please do.
honest. I'm trying to put myself out of work. If I can build that 100%, I'll bring that to everybody and put me out of work. If I can put me out of work but get a piece of that business, believe you me, I'm going to do it. Because I don't want to work hard. I'll just take money. That sounds great. What about you, Sammy? Did that give you enough time to think of one?
No, I'm all right now. When you're making an ad and you're doing an image, you can say, here's a square image, and it'll run in feeds and stuff like that. Within that same ad set, you can also go in and say, run this separate image just in stories, right? And that will consolidate into one place. It doesn't have the same function to do that with videos, right? So you kind of have to make, like, you have a square video, or like, let's just use square and rectangle, or 1080 by 1080, like whatever. So you have a square video and a rectangle video, and sometimes Facebook, like, they do place them correctly. Like, they'll only put the rectangle in the stories and the square in the feeds. A lot of the times they don't. I would like that function to be able to go into the same, so I can just do a dynamic like ad with a couple of different variations, one square, one rectangle, or whatever, and place that in individual placements without having to kind of get this sort of like what we use at the moment is like this happy medium, like sizing that kind of fits into both.
Like
but when it
4 or
comes up in the
5 and hoping for
story,
the best.
yeah, it still comes up with the copy. But when you do a 1080 by, when you do it, is it 9:16? It doesn't come up with the copy, and it looks really shit hot.
Yeah, the graphic designer almost came in to help you out.
Yeah,
dynamic creative tests have had this issue since inception. I really do wish you were able to edit placements by specific asset there.
Yeah, and with video, with image you can, and it's great, and it works, super well. But with video you can't, and it pisses me off, to be honest, because I don't. I like, we want the content to look as good as possible. We have the capability to make it in a 9:16. We have the capability of it being shot in a square. We should just be able to use both in the same while using the Power 5. That's mine.
I like it. We'll see if anybody else has opinions on these. And I'm also time stamping these as best as I can because my buddy Jake over here is going to 100% chop this stuff up. So appreciate it, Jake.
I've seen all of you talk.
This is Jake over here, by the way.
What's up, Jake?
I'm drawing Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
He's what?
1 second. I'm drawing The Rock.
Oh, that's
nice.
So cool.
Tilt it a little bit. Show it again. Okay.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He has hair.
This guy gets an iPad, and in like a week, he's a fucking artist. All right. So to finish this up, I do want to say the one thing that we teased at the very beginning that I'm having a lot of fun with and got brought up. I got monetized about a week and a half ago, thanks to Dara, to Denny. Thank you so much, and thank you to Sammy and to everybody watching this too. Jhori, everybody that's watched the YouTube ads, the YouTube content, to get me to this place. And what I found was I'm getting a revenue per like 1,000 views or whatever, right? Of like 78 cents or whatever it is, right? I forgot the exact number. Let's call it $1, right? I can run ads on TikTok where I made short little videos that's like, are you sick and tired of trying to run up a ROAS but can't seem to scale your business? I made a whole thing about how I've spent a couple $100 million to grow billion-dollar brands. Click the thing below to check it out, whatever. Some super reel or TikTok like that. I have 3 to 5 cent CPMs.
No.
And like the first $20, yeah, the first $20 got me like 100,000 clicks. The point is, for every like $5 to $10 that I'm spending right now on TikTok, I'm generating between $3 and $8 in AdSense, depending on like the ad. And some content is better than others, and I'm working on it. It might not be completely give me a month or so, and I'm going to completely have this thing figured out to arbitrage for profit at scale. Yeah. But the way I'm doing it, I am basically every week I launch 2-3 new videos on the YouTube channel that are dedicated long form pieces. The dedicated long form pieces are the ones where ads can go, right? Yeah. So I'm making a little video that's like a minute long, of like 30 seconds to 40 seconds, because my buddy Ollie and shout out to Ollie on Twitter, the British TikTok guys that I met at Geek Out. And Liam and Joe, give them all credit. They were like, yeah, make it around 40 seconds or something and have the call to action up front, and then, have a hook and a call to action, all that stuff. So basically, I'm running that on TikTok to a worldwide audience for link clicks. And basically what I found is most of the traffic isn't going to the United States, but there are media buyers everywhere. And since I speak English, the media buyer in India, in Saudi Arabia, and wherever this is going, they're more likely to be able to speak my language than I am theirs. Yeah. And the watch time, like I've got like 40 to 50% watch time from India, 30 to 40% from Saudi Arabia. I've got like 15 to 18 in the United States. So these are higher quality clicks. Yeah, totally. Net 3 to 5 cent CPMs. It is stupid. So there's my little tip on how I'm hacking it now. The one thing I'm going to call out right now, and we'll see if it works. Oh, shit, I totally forgot to timestamp this one. Oh, well, the very end, it's about an hour. Sorry, Jake. Uh,
Oh, great.
my bad. The other thing I'm going to try to do is I found out something fun. You can put a link to subscribe to a YouTube channel.
Mhm.
So what if
wow.
I just make an ad to run for subscriptions and I'm getting the CPC is literally 0 cents. Like it's dumb.
Yeah.
I posted it in the
Oh,
DTC
you have to have a
Coffee Shop
certain
thing.
amount of subscribers to be monetized. Is that?
Yeah, well, you have to have a certain amount of watch
Watch time,
time and
too.
all sorts of other
Right,
stuff
right,
to be
right.
monetized. Yeah, but I will send Sammy. I'll send you a screenshot too, so you can see like this thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, like $20 might be 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 clicks. If I have a conversion
That's
rate of
insane.
0.01%,
That's wild.
I can manually force 50 to 100 subs a day, which is dumb.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna figure out basically how to use TikTok to force AdSense plays to pay for me to run ads to grow my subscriber base on YouTube, so that my AdSense goes up organically while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna let Google pay me to grow both my YouTube and my TikTok channel. And here's the thing, that meets both channels' needs. YouTube is getting people that want to watch, and TikTok is getting people who want to click and stick around. And so that was my fun hack the other day that I wanted to share. Right now I'm running at about $40 a day. I think I've got $28 in revenue for every $40. Right now, the first few days was net positive. The last few days have been net negative. I got to work on it. I'm 5 days into testing this thing. Give me a month, and I'll be at
Testing
like
scale.
Yeah. Creative testing to scale a business model that doesn't need me to work because the YouTube's already monetized and the TikTok audience already exists. I'm just going to throw money at it and make it work even better, which basically sums up everything that we talked about today in a nice little bow, and not a damn bit of it is going to be affected by iOS 14. So that I feel like I don't know that I could possibly close my argument there any way better. That being said, I really appreciate you guys coming in. Lord of Ads, Jhori, would you mind just once again letting people know how to find you, what they can do? If there's anything you want to promo, let us see it. And then Sammy, you're next, and I'll take us out.
I have nothing to sell you right now. That might change in the future, depending on, timelines and whatnot, and as my skills grow. But Twitter, @Lord of Ads. That's going to be the fastest, easiest way to connect with me. Email list as well. You can find that in my Twitter bio. And then over the next couple months, I'm actually looking to hire a video editor to help with the YouTube channel, because I want to start making some long form stuff consistently. I just don't have the time to edit videos myself right now. So message me on Twitter if you're a video editor or know someone that is a really good video editor, willing to pay $200 a video if the quality is good. Put it out there.
There you go. Are you still doing the Instagram?
Instagram would be part of the short form content that would come from the.
I'm just saying, can people reach you on the Instagram?
Oh, yes, absolutely. @the Lord of Ads.
The Instagram, because I'm 75 years old.
Well, here's the thing. Someone took Lord of Ads handle on Instagram as well. So I had to put just like the website.
That's where I was trying to go with it, but I realized it was whatever. In my head,
I think the Lord of Ads is more
just regular
formal,
Twitter. Yeah.
Sure.
What about you, Sammy?
I've actually just started a Twitter. I have no followers.
Sammy, we're going to give you a shout out, buddy. I'm going to add you to the DTC back channel. Well, I'm going to tag you with 15 people you should follow, and you might be flooded with a whole bunch of people who hate me. This is going to be great. Welcome.
Yeah, no,
Welcome
I'm there for it. I have so I have a personal one, which I just stalk people on, but I've just made it @Zevon Digital Twitter, which is my agency name. So @Zevon Digital, follow me on there. Points to whoever's going to be my first follower. I just wanted to kind of get more involved in the conversation on Twitter with Facebook ads and stuff like that. That's where you can reach me. Or my personal Instagram is @MyDirtyLifeAndTimes. Feel free to follow
One
for a lot of
follower,
dog
homie.
and food. Oh, there you go. That's me.
Oh, wait a minute. Jake is going to follow you too. It's @Zevon Digital. One follower. First!
Boom.
Almost
How do you not have
always.
dark
What do you think of
mode?
that cover
iOS
photo?
14 is a good thing. Love it.
Do you not like
Love
dark
it.
mode, Charlie?
No, I'm not a fan of dark mode.
Oh,
I know.
I'm all on
I get
the dark
blown
mode.
up on the internet. No, I call me old fashioned. I don't like dark mode. Yeah.
But yeah, reach
'cause I'm
out to me
old.
on Twitter or Instagram. I'm always want to chat some shit about Facebook ads to anyone who will listen. So, you know.
Love it. Well, everybody, thank you so much for this, and we're gonna blow you up, Sammy. I promise. That's what we're gonna do. This is gonna be fun. And
You're gonna have 100
I
followers
really
by the
appreciate
end
it,
of the
guys.
night.
Oh, yeah,
And-
we're gonna make it happen.
Yeah,
There's-
compared to yesterday, like, you know,
Hey, dude, you've grown by an insurmountable.
100
You had
times
0
better, so,
yesterday.
yeah.
You're already at 1.
Dude, you have 2 extra.
Exactly.
I
your
remember
follower
back in the
count.
day.
blowing up.
Yeah, I remember back in the day, Lord of Ads, myself, and this guy Chris Tweeton were all in this like race to see who could get to 3,000 followers. It was like a friendly push, and it was really good. I got a lot better at it, and I think we all did because of it. So anyway, with that being said, we're at 1 hour and 10. So this has been fun. I really appreciate it, y'all. I'll make sure to tag everything. DM me with anything else you want me to post. If anybody liked this stuff, please give these guys a follow, subscribe to this, hit the bell, all sorts of fun things. Comment with everything you disagreed with. Reply with every question you got. And I'm sure anybody here will be more than willing and eager and probably enjoy having a chat with you about it. But yeah, until next time, I'll see you on the internet. Bye, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.
Cheers.
Hey, nice to meet you, mate. Cheers, Charlie.
Cheers. Yeah, I got to say it this time. This is good. This is good.